We're trying to get more of the other social media platforms up and running. Okay, cool. So thank you for making the live broadcast today. My name is Tamani Mondani. I am a contributing member to the Black Gold Nation movement. I am a direct revolutionary product, if you will, of one Cardinal and Bayou Chewy out of the Shrines of the Black Madonna, and an indirect product of the founder of Black Liberation Theology, Reverend Albert B. Clegg, or as we called him in the Shrine, Jaramogi. That was his title, Baby Ajiman. I am a contributing member of the Black Gold movement because I believe in our message and our mission, which is to ultimately establish Black communities worldwide that have influence, value, and power. In this movement, we believe that the only way we're going to establish the kinds of communities that we need, that's going to keep us physically safe and put us in a position to win, the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we are in control of said communities. And we cannot be in control of those communities if we don't have political power, economic power, the ability to protect ourselves, the ability to feed ourselves, in a way to have our children at the center of all of it moving forward. So every single thing we do in this organization is an effort to bring the right Black people together so that we can organize ourselves and connect ourselves to move forward. And that is the title of today's live broadcast, which I want to repeat really quickly. Understanding the reality of the landscape and responding accordingly. Connectivity and organization are the keys to rebuilding. Again, the title is Understanding the Reality of the Landscape and Responding Accordingly. Connectivity and organization are the keys to building. So what I want to do, as I've been doing in the past, is give a brief snapshot, and it may not seem like it's brief, but trust me, there's a lot more. I'm gonna give a brief snapshot of what it means to be Black in America, which deals with what we're up against, what we're facing, because I want to be clear. Every single thing that we do, again, it's an attempt to bring the right Black people together so that we can move, establish, and build something for our children and for the future moving forward. We are seriously implementing a 100-year plan that deals with the survival, advancement, and prosperity of Black people, both here in America, in Africa, and in the diaspora, wherever our people are. If we're going to be able to do that, we absolutely must understand what we're up against, what we're facing, what we're dealing with, which means we have to have a certain agreement on what the reality is. If we can agree on the reality, then of course we can agree on what the solution should and can be, which means we won't come together and do anything because we won't have the same understanding of what the reality is. So I want to give a brief snapshot of what it means to be Black in America, what we're up against, what we're facing, so that we'll at least be on the same page per this organization's efforts to move, and then we can go from there. So the Black reality in 2019, the first, I have it categorized in different groups. The first one is the Black family. The bottom 50% of our households, Black households, are worth less than $1. Of our children, Black children that live and exist in America's inner cities, because of the levels of physical, mental, and spiritual violence and trauma that exist in these cities, a major study has shown that some 46.5% of our children, Black children, suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. This is a condition that's normally found in some 11 to 20% of combat veterans. Our children are exhibiting symptoms of combat stress and trauma in America's inner cities, which of course affects their ability to learn, build relationships, makes them more susceptible to depression and of course drug use. As of February 2017, every state in this country was investing more in juvenile prisons and schools, which should serve as more proof that the school to prison pipeline in America is alive and well, and it continues to feed a multi-billion-dollar prison industrial complex that you can buy stock in. The education system that we were educated in and that's educating our children has never probably educated our parents, ourselves, and of course the current generation of Black children. We have more brothers in prison in America. More Black men are incarcerated in America than all women incarcerated worldwide on the planet. And again, that is by design. And of course, that has had a significant effect on the shortage and availability of brothers in the community. And that has directly affected the strength of our relationships, families, and the community as a whole. The next category, Black ownership. Black farmers still being discriminated against. Federal judges have ruled that the USDA has systematically denied Black and Native American farmers loans and disaster payments. Over the past century, Black farmers have lost some 80% of the land that we once owned, and as of right now, we only own some 5% of 2 million farms, of the 2 million farms in America. The author of the study has observed that farmers of color were disproportionately affected by obstacles in transferring land ownership from generation to generation, which often resulted in land loss and land theft. Again, I'm giving you a brief snapshot of what it means to be Black in America, which details what we're up against and what we're facing. The next category, the threats and predation of our environment. The USDA, via the usage of GMOs, genetically modified organisms, is seeking to replace how natural and organic foods are grown to control the food we consume globally. If they can control the food globally, the USDA, the American government, will they poison us or deny us what we need to live, thrive, and grow as they have done to other people in the past? Food deserts, which is defined as areas that have limited access to affordable and nutritious food, exist in almost every predominantly Black community in this country. Purge activity, which is defined as assassinations, murders, kidnappings, organ and sex trafficking, and crimes committed in Black masks and skins, Hollywood level Black masks and skins, are taking place in Black communities all across this country. In every major city in this country, purge activity is taking place. Brother Joshua Brown, who was a key witness in the Botham Jean murder case, was assassinated. At least 6 Black Lives Matter activists from Ferguson, Missouri are all dead. Portland police digitally removed tattoos from a Black man's face to make him look like a suspect, and he was subsequently arrested and charged for a crime because they made him look like the suspect. We have to deal with a criminal justice system that's always been unjust. We're dealing with a bail bond system that's always been unfair and unjust. We have to deal with politicians using redlining, gerrymandering, and gentrification to build their political power and to weaken ours as well as our communities. Over the past decade, the annual estimates of the number of gangs that exist in America is at 27,000. 90 to 95% of the top rap songs of 2019 promote materialism, drug use, misogyny, murdering Black men, self-hate, a false sense of negation of reality, a slave culture understanding and promotion of success, and a self-destructive, niggerized culture of mental, physical, spiritual, and psychological slavery. It's been 5 years since Flint, Michigan has safe water to drink, bathe in, and use. Again, I'm giving you a brief snapshot of what it means to be Black in America and what we're up against. The next category, our livelihood and future. Automation, artificial intelligence, and machine language is replacing millions of jobs, and African American communities are projected to be hit the hardest. A recent study by McKinsey & Company is projecting that by 2030, African American workers stand to lose hundreds of thousands of jobs as a result of increased automation, which will widen the racial gap and weigh down overall U.S. growth. The White House removed 3 million people from the food stamp rolls, and of course, most of us know that there are more white people on food stamps than Black people, but that does not mean a large number of our people won't be affected by this move by the American government. Over 900 white supremacist organizations exist right now in America, and many of them have been training for a race war. There have been 349. The last time I did a live broadcast, which is about 2 weeks ago, there was 324. As of right now, there have been 349 mass shootings in America since the beginning of the year, and there will be more. The Department of Homeland Security in a recent study has found that state and local law enforcement agencies nationwide have been infiltrated with neo-Nazi members and started secret terrorist cells developed to terrorize Black and Latino residents. The Donald Trump administration under Jeff Sessions has reinstituted the privatizing of federal prisons, which of course means there is a profit motive. Under President Trump, the FBI's official counterterrorism priorities have included, quote, Black identity extremists, anti-authority extremists, and animal rights and environmental extremists. Excuse me. The Donald Trump administration has refused to label and pursue domestic terrorism by white identity extremists on the same level as foreign terrorists. Approximately 25.4% of the American population in the United States identify themselves as evangelical Christians, and over 25% of them, some 20 million people, support Donald Trump. That's a heavy statement because people like Hitler, Stalin, and Mussolini were only individuals. But when you have individuals of that caliber, of that ilk, of that ideology, being supported by millions of people, that one person becomes extremely dangerous, and of course the millions that follow. Again, I'm giving you a brief snapshot of what it means to be black in America and what we're up against. Donald Trump retweeted a quote from a right-wing pastor, and that quote was, "If the Democrats are successful in removing the president from office, it will cause a civil war-like fracture in this nation from which our country would never heal." Groups like the Oath Keepers and the Three Percenters, which are armed militia groups, responded with their own tweets after President Trump's tweet stating, quote, "All you have to do is come out on Twitter or national media and call us to arms, and we will show the world once again that America has the largest freestanding army with weapons and firepower they can't even begin to fathom. You will have an army at your side at a moment's notice, Mr. President. All you have to do is say the word." So you have President Trump retweeting a racist quote about a race war or a political war, which of course includes race, to the nation. And we have right-wing militia groups responding to the president's tweet stating, "All you have to do is give us the word, Mr. President, and we will be there for you." We have to deal with over 100 conservative think tanks focusing on maintaining white supremacy and white power. We have to deal with the Donald Trump administration Citizenship and Immigration Services Department seeking to change the language on the Statue of Liberty from "give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free" to language that translates to "give me your tired and your poor who can stand on their own 2 feet and who will not become a public charge." The Department of Justice has proven that cities like Baltimore and Chicago have engaged in a pattern and practice of conduct that violates the First, Fourth, and 14th Amendments. The First Amendment deals with freedom of speech, religion, and the right for the press, and the rights of the press, as well as to the people to assemble and petition their government. The Fourth Amendment deals with protection from unlawful search and seizures. And the 14th Amendment allows for citizenship and equal and legal rights to African Americans after slavery. A court has just ruled that DeRay McKesson, one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement, has, quote, "no First Amendment defense," end quote, in the Baton Rouge protest. Apparently, there was a protest and someone in the protest threw a bottle or a brick or something at a police officer. That officer was injured, and they are charging DeRay McKesson for police brutality and assault because someone else threw that bottle and or that rock, saying that he has no First Amendment defense, which of course goes to the point that the American government is changing. They are rolling back the rights of people, and of course, especially Black people in the country, and that is proof of that taking place. And lastly, the Donald Trump administration has repealed civil rights protections all across the country in HUD, in Commerce, and other governmental departments. So I've just given you a brief snapshot of what it means to be Black in America, a brief snapshot of what we're up against, what is taking place right now today in 2019. So that we'll be on the same page moving forward. Anything I just said can be researched. Everything I just said can be verified. Everything that I just said is a snapshot of our reality in this country. Why do I do that? Again, I want to make sure that we're on the same page. I want to make sure that you understand where I'm coming from. I want to make sure you understand the urgency that the Black Gold Nation movement has. And I want you to understand that every single thing we do because of this snapshot of what it means to be Black in America. We have some issues that we need to deal with. We have some issues that we need to address and organize ourselves around to push back against. We have some issues that if we don't organize ourselves and push back against, could very well push us into a status of becoming a permanent underclass in this country. We have multiple fronts that we need to fight on. We have multiple issues that we need to address in multiple categories. It is not just about economics. It's not just about politics. It's not just about education. It's about all three, plus about 14 to 15 other categories where we're losing. So I give that brief snapshot because, again, I want to make sure that we are on the same page and we have the same understanding moving forward. The title of today's live broadcast is Understanding the Reality of the Landscape and Responding Accordingly. Connectivity and organization are the keys to rebuilding. We have to understand the Black Gold Nation movement and your role in that movement, because everyone has a role to play. Understand the reality of the landscape. I'll just give you a brief snapshot of what the landscape is. If you don't understand that, then you are refusing to understand that, because it's all there. You can Google any of it and research it. I want us to understand that we have some issues that we have to deal with because no one else is going to. And all of those issues individually are bad enough. But when you take them as a collective group, all of which affects one group in particular, then you can see how and why our status as American citizens is in jeopardy in this country. So what is the proper response to everything that I just read? What is the proper response to us being born into a war that we didn't start, that we're 200 plus years behind on preparing for, a war that we have to educate our people to the fact that we are in a war and we're surrounded on every front? What's the appropriate response to such a reality? From our vantage point in the Black Gold Nation movement, the proper response is for us to connect and organize with one another, because quite frankly, that's the only response that's really going to matter. Unity, us coming together as much as possible, is our greatest strength. And if we are unified, if we are connected and organized, if enough of us are connected and organized, then there is nothing that our unity cannot protect us from, and there's nothing that our unity would not allow us to push back against. So I want to give you an idea of why that reality is so important, and give you a better understanding of why we absolutely must be connected and organized. I had the opportunity to engage with a brother on Facebook earlier this week. I was responding to a post. Brother Craig Lee, who was over our political strategy department, he made a post. I can't remember exactly what the post was about, but the brother's response was, white people are cowards because they won't come into our community with guns trying to hurt anybody. White people are cowards because they won't come into our community and physically try to assault us straight up. He was saying that, yeah, a few of them are not afraid, but the vast majority are. And I was trying to get my brother to realize that we cannot make that mistake of assuming that they are afraid. We cannot make that mistake in assuming that they are not prepared to defend and kill for what they believe in. That's what they've always done. Since the first documented slave arrived in America in 1619 to now in 2019, 14 years later, they have always been quite bold in murdering and assassinating our people. And we think, this brother thought, that they are no longer doing that because they are afraid. And I was trying to get my brother to understand and realize that, one, they are not afraid. Two, they are training and have been training. And three, they're not coming into our communities with guns blazing in that fashion. They're coming into our community under the guise of gentrification. They're coming into our communities under the guise of redlining. They're coming into our communities under the guise of gerrymandering. They're coming into our communities under the guise of the U.S. government. They're coming into our community under the guise of police assassinating and killing and terrorizing and oppressing our people. They're coming into our communities under the guise of the local business in the community, under the guise of the local school, coming into our communities under the guise of the grocery store. So I was trying to get the brother to understand and realize that it's not that they are afraid, it's that they've changed their tactics. As Chuck D said in one of his rap songs back in the day, the KKK is now wearing three-piece suits. They don't come into the community, obviously, with hoods on the backs of horses, trying to terrorize black people. They're doing it in suit and tie, which means what? They've changed their game. We're still playing checkers. They're playing chess, and that's one of the reasons why we're losing. So at the end of the conversation, the brother said that we're going to have to agree to disagree. And I said, okay, amen, more power to you. And I don't know if I got through. The brother was very adamant about, if anyone comes to his community They're going to have another thing coming because he was prepared to defend himself and his family and shoot back, which is cool. And I find that comical because there's no way one black person or even 5 black families can protect the black community against an organized threat. I was trying to get my brother to understand and realize that these people who have been training for a race war are organized. They believe that America is theirs. They believe that we, the melanated population of the country, want to take what is theirs. They believe that they have the right to defend it with bloodshed. And I was trying to get my brother to understand and realize that if a move was made, if a physical move was made against a majority black group in America, that black group is going to lose. The brother was making a comment like they don't come into New Orleans with that kind of stuff. They don't come into Baltimore with that kind of stuff. They don't come into Washington, D.C. with that kind of stuff. And I was trying to say to my brother, not only are they already doing it, they're just not coming in guns blazing, but you better hope and pray that they never do that, because we're not ready for that. We're not prepared and organized to push back against a physical threat. And if any physical threat was made, we're going to lose because we're not ready to fight as a group if we are assaulted by a group. And sadly, a lot of our people have that mentality that if anyone comes into my community, then they're going to meet a lot of gunfire because we're going to shoot back. And I do not doubt that there are brothers and sisters who will shoot back. But those brothers and sisters are going to lose because they won't be ready for the organized threat that could face a black community. And even if their community has been training, is organized, is ready, that's one community out of thousands. We have to understand the reality of the landscape and understand what a proper response is. And that proper response can only be connectivity and organization. As I've been saying for years, we are not intellectually deficient. We're not physically deficient. We're not economically or spiritually deficient. Where we are deficient is in our connectivity and our organization. I told the brother that we have people like him all around the country, all around the world. They have skills and expertise in multiple areas that we need to move ourselves forward. But because we're not connected and we're not organized, we're not in a position whereby we can use the talent, the intellectual capital, the energy, the understanding that our people currently have to move ourselves forward so that we can start winning. So I don't think I got through to the brother, but I was trying to make the point that the threat that we are facing is an organized threat. Like Brother Bobby Seale said, one of the founders of the Black Panther Party for self-defense, he said that we're not outmanned or outnumbered, we're out-organized. That is where we fall short. Everything anyone else has, black people have. Anything else anyone else can do, black people can do. Anything else other people can build, black people can build. But where we fall short is that we're not connected and organized, which means the things that we need to build, things that we need to do, things that we need to collaborate on and come together and unify against, we don't, because we're not connected and we're not organized. So I am trying to change that. I want us to understand that in order for us to move forward, if we're going to win, we must have a unified approach. We must have the same understanding of reality, and we must agree on what the ultimate goal must be. For us in this movement, in the Black Gold Nation movement, our ultimate goal is to establish communities of color that have influence, value, and power, whereby we can be physically safe and we can do our own thing as we deem fit in 2019 moving forward for the next 100 years. And we, of course, want to give our 100-year plan to our children so that they can add their 100-year plan onto that. We can't do that if we don't have people that understand the issues, understand the problems, understand what the solutions are, and that are ready, willing, and able to train the people on the ground around the country as to how to implement those solutions. Again, today's title is understanding the reality of the landscape and responding accordingly. Connectivity and organization are the keys to our rebuilding. Understand the Black Gold Nation movement solution and your role in it. And of course, everyone has a role to play. Now, we have 3 events coming up, all of which are designed to bring Black people together so that we can find the right Black people to support us and the right Black people to be involved in what we're trying to do. Tomorrow, which is the last Thursday in October, this is an event that we have the last Thursday of every month. We're having the Black Gold Nations Facebook Group Leadership Summit. The purpose of tomorrow's event is for us to try to connect with all of these administrators and all of these Black Facebook groups. I tried to post to about 90, I think I'm up to 94, 95. It was 108, but I purged the list often because people aren't always responsive or the groups are no longer there. But I track about 94, about 95 of them. And of the ones that I track, that I try to post to, the number of members in this group, the ones that I post to, is almost 1 million Black people. It's like 968,000, something like that. And of course, there are of course people are members to multiple groups. There's overlap. A few people probably aren't even Black. But let's say if it's only half that. If it's only 450 to 500,000 Black people that I'm trying to reach, then that's still a lot of Black people. What we're trying to do with the Facebook Leadership Summit is connect with the administrators of all these Black Facebook groups, in the hope that they will see what we're trying to do, and be ready, willing, and able to take their online message of what they say their group is about, and bring it to the real world so that we can start doing some things with those people in those Black Facebook groups. There's a lot of talent on Facebook. There's a lot of insight and intelligence on Facebook. There are a lot of Black people that know how to do stuff that needs to be done on Facebook. We want to connect with those people on Facebook because we need those people to be a part of this movement. The Black Gold Nation movement is an umbrella organization. That means that we're trying to create a structure by which we can make your Black wheel, whatever that Black wheel is, bigger, better, and stronger, and put you under an umbrella of like-minded Black people that's going to protect you from what's coming, from what's here, so that you can continue to do what you need to do to move you, yourself, your family, and Black people forward. We're not trying to compete with anybody's Black wheel. We don't want to steal anybody's Black wheel. We don't want to destroy anybody's Black wheel. We want to bring international support to whatever your Black wheel is so that it can be bigger, better, and stronger. We understand in this organization that if we're going to win, if we're going to be able to push back against the things that are threatening the destruction of our communities, our families, our children, our women, our elders, and our brothers, we have to have a unified front. And of course, that unity can come from the hundreds of thousands of Black people that are on Facebook every single day. Now, what I have learned from experience is that just because a person has a large number of members in their group doesn't mean that they have access to those persons in that group. It doesn't mean that when you post something to that group, everybody sees it. It doesn't mean that everybody in that group is ready, willing, and able to do something, because they're probably not. And based on my experience, most of them are not. However, there's an opportunity with all those Black Facebook groups and all those Black administrators. If we can organize ourselves to reach out to every single member of every single Black Facebook group, then we put ourselves in a position to bring hundreds of thousands of Black people on board into a movement, into an organization that has leadership, that has a plan, that has understanding, that's organized, that's international, and that's ready to do. I believe that Black people are looking for something. I believe Black people are ready for change. I think if our people have the opportunity to be a part of something that's positive, that's moving, that's going to benefit them, protect them, I think they will be all over it. And of course, I not only believe that the Black Gold Nation movement is such a movement and organization, but I believe that if we touch base with these Black people, then we can put ourselves in a better position to be bigger, better, and stronger. So we're having the Black Gold Nation Black Facebook Group Leadership Summit tomorrow in an effort to connect with administrators of these Black Facebook groups so that we can connect with their membership. We want to organize groups of people around every Black Facebook group that's on Facebook so that we can mine, M-I-N-E, those Facebook groups so that we can connect with these Black people so that we can move. That's happening tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. That's tomorrow. The next two events we have is the Black Gold Nation Barber and Beauty Shop Alliance and the Black Gold Nations Black Church and Black Organizations Bible Summit. Keep in mind that every single thing we do is an effort to find the right Black people to support what we're trying to do and to be a part of what we're trying to do. We understand that if Black people don't support this movement, then this movement is not going to last. We understand that Black people must be a part of an organization that's serious about building power for Black people. What happens to us happens because we don't have the power to stop it. Power is what will allow us to have our own communities that we can own and control. Power will allow us to have our communities that we can have our own institutions that we build from the ground up. Power will allow us to put our people in a position to learn from our people and be protected by our people. Power is what we absolutely always, every single day, must be focused on if we're going to have it. If an organization is in existence in 2019 moving forward and it's not about building power for Black people, it's probably a waste of time. Many of these organizations are probably a part of the problem as opposed to the solution, because they're simply trying to get along, not make white people mad, prey upon Black people, use Black people as a profit center, or get their nonprofit funded. Your nonprofit will never be funded by people who don't want you to have power. That's an illusion and a false way of thinking if you think you're going to liberate and save Black people via a nonprofit. We have to understand that America is a corporation, and although nonprofits play a role in that, they are not the end all be all. So we're having the Black Gold Nations Barber and Beauty Shop Alliance because we have come to the conclusion via our leadership, people that are smarter than I am. We all know that there's almost a Black church on every corner in the Black community. By our research, there's some 85,000 Black churches, which is a lot. And of course, we want to work with as many of them as possible, but we also know that some of them need to go away because they're not helping the community, and some of them are predatory to the community. What we don't know, what we don't realize, at least I didn't, until one of our national leaders brought it to my attention. Even when he brought it to my attention, I'm like, I'm not ready for that yet, so I moved on to other things, but then I came back to it. We have some 85,000+ Black churches in the Black community. We have 2 to 3 times as many barbershops and beauty salons. That's 177,000 to 255,000 physical institutions that we can bring Black people into to have a conversation with. So the Alliance, which is the next event that we're focused on having, is going to be the last Monday in November. The Alliance is an effort to connect with that 177,000 and 255,000 barbershops and beauty salons in the hope that we can get them to open their doors on this Monday evening, invite their clients into the barbershop or beauty salon. And again, let me say that 99.9% of us on the planet that have been blessed with melanin, we get our hair cut and we get our hair done. So to connect with barbershops and beauty salons worldwide puts us again in a position to communicate with almost every Black person on this planet. We simply need to put in the work to connect with the organizations that we're trying to reach. So what if out of the 177 to 255,000 barbershops and beauty salons, what if we only get 10% of that number? That's some 25,000 barbershops and beauty salons that we have as allies in this movement to build Black power. What if each one of them has 2 to 3 people in their barbershop or beauty salon, they're hearing a presentation about building Black power? We put ourselves in a position to have 75,000 Black people on board with the movement to build Black power. A movement that's not trying to integrate with other people. A movement that's not trying to not piss other people off. A movement that's not trying to push the envelope, if you will, but a movement that's focused on building Black power, protecting Black people and Black children, and putting us in a position so that we can own and control our own communities. 75,000 committed Black people can do a lot. And that's only if we get only 10% of the barbershops and beauty salons that exist. And that's just in this country. I'm not talking worldwide. Just in this country, in America, we have some 177,000, 255,000 barbershops and beauty salons. That is the next event that we're planning on having to bring more people on board to this movement. And the last event that we'll probably have this year, December 7th, Saturday, December 7th, we're going to have the Black Gold Nations, Black Church, and Black Organization Survival Summit. Over the past few months, we've had our national leadership giving presentations per their specific area about our survival in their particular area, what we're up against, what we're facing, and what we need to do to push back. December 7th, we're going to have a day-long event, different subject matters with different solutions all day, talking about Black survival. Because again, that brief snapshot that I gave at the beginning is all about Black survival. A lot of us know that we have issues that we need to organize ourselves against. A lot of us know that we have serious enemies and predators that exist in and around our communities. A lot of us know that unity is the answer, but a lot of us don't know how to achieve that unity. How do we bring these Black people together and put them under one umbrella to move? How do we connect with brothers and sisters so that we can organize ourselves to win? How do we bring expertise like the brother I was talking about earlier, who understands weapons training, organization, shooting ranges? How do we find these Black people and bring them on board to a movement that's all about building Black power, and then put them in the position so that we can all win? Tomorrow's the Leadership Summit is that kind of event. The Black Barbershop and Beauty Salon Alliance is that kind of event. The Survival Summit is that kind of event. Every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, we have an introductory presentation online, which is that kind of event. Every single thing we do is to find and connect with Black people who are serious about building Black power. Black people who want to do more than just talk about the issues that we have in this country and around the world as relates to non-melanated groups trying to make us a permanent underclass and or wipe us out. If a group that's in power sought to put us back in slavery, then there's very little we could do about it because we don't have the power to stop it. We don't have the physical power. We don't have the political power. We don't have the economic power. We have spiritual understanding, but we're not connected and organized spiritually. There is very little that we could do as a group to push back against that kind of threat. And that kind of threat does exist. But the fact that we don't have power doesn't mean that we cannot have power. The fact that we're not in a position right now in 2019 to utilize the power that we have does not mean we cannot be in a position to utilize the power that we could have to move ourselves forward. What I'm saying and what we're saying in this movement is that if we're going to win, we have to be in a position to organize ourselves, connect with one another, and move forward. That is what the Black Gold Nation movement has always been about since we started in November of 2016. I've seen a lot of Black people come and go, talking about a lot of different Black things. And most of them have very good ideas, very good solutions, but sadly, they didn't understand what they were involved in because they don't understand concretely, intimately, how we've been conditioned to think that we are less than and that we can't do. We think that you can give Black people a logical solution and Black people are going to organize themselves around that logical solution. But what we fail to understand is that Black people aren't logical. And we're not logical because we're less than intellectually than anybody else. We're not logical because we've had to deal with 400 literal years of conditioning that has made us believe that doing for self, doing for people that look like us won't work, can't work, will never work, is wrong, is evil. What about everybody else? We've been conditioned to think and act in ways that are anti our own progress and survival. No one thinks like us. No one acts like us. No one moves against their own best interests like us. But no one's been through slavery like we have. No one has been through Jim Crow like we have. No one's had the international psychological community coming together to declare us inferior like we have. No one has gone through the fire like we have and come out on the other side. Black people in America have been through the fire. And we did not come out unscathed or unbroken or 100% whole, but we did come out of it. And to me, that means that the only thing that can stop us is us. And we're looking for Black people who refuse to be stopped. We're looking for Black people who understand the importance of unity and connectivity and want to be a part of something that's going to move us forward. I've had the very, very, very fortunate blessing to have lived in a community that was owned and controlled by Black people for over 20 years. My children, I have 3 kids. They were raised, the first half of their lives were raised in such a community. They did not grow up hearing gunfire. They did not grow up afraid of their neighbor. They did not grow up afraid of Black people. They were taught how to read, write, pray, meditate. 2 of them were potty trained, all by Black people. I know what it feels like to live in an environment where everybody's on the same page trying to do the same thing. And that does not mean that we didn't have our issues, because of course we did, as any group does. But we were all on the same page trying to do the same thing. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to have 1 police officer on the property in our community in 20 years. And that's only because we called them. What if Black communities only had to call the police when they needed them, and the police didn't show up to brutalize, oppress, and terrorize our people, because we not only own and control the environment, but we policed ourselves? I know what that feels like. What if we were in a position to control the economics in the community, and we had a self-sustaining economic system that benefited us first? I know what that feels like. What if we had leadership that was committed to building Black power first? Everybody else came second. I know what that feels like. And I'm saying to you that Black people deserve that. I'm saying to you, our children need that. I'm saying to you that if we don't come together and organize ourselves to make that a reality, then we're going to continue to lose. And if you don't believe we are losing, that's what that snapshot that I read at the beginning means. We are at the top of every bad list and at the bottom of every good list. Black people in America are losing. We don't have power because we've been conditioned to believe that power should not be ours. But we have Black people in this country and around the world that are operating at a very high level, that are making things happen for other people at a very high level. And a lot of them want to come home to Black people so that they can give to Black people and Black children, but there's no home to come to. So we have to build it. And not only do we have to build it, we have to protect them as we're building it after it's built. I was educated to the fact that since we've been here in 1619, first documented slave, to now 2019, we have built our own Black Wall Street communities that were self-sufficient 100%. We've done that 200 times. I used to think it was 75, but I was educated by one of the brothers in the movement. 200 times we've built our own communities, and 199 of them have been destroyed by white people and or this American government. So it's not that we can't do, is that they won't leave us alone long enough to do. And then even in the midst of everything, when we do, they target it for destruction and destroy it. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean that we stop trying, because we can't afford to stop trying, because every Black child on this planet is worth our very best effort to continue trying. The fact that they've destroyed 199 of our 200 communities, that simply means that the next time we build it, and there will be a next time, we have to be prepared to protect it on multiple levels as we're building it. And we have to have our children at the center of all of it. And we have to surround them with multiple layers of security, because our children are born with targets on their backs. If you didn't hear the snapshot of what it means to be Black in America, watch the beginning of this live broadcast. Again, it's a snapshot. That is not everything, but it's enough. So if you want to be a part of a movement that's committed to building Black power for Black people, this is that movement. If you believe that Black people need to be connected and organized, this is that movement. If you believe that, if you believe that Black people have everything we need, and you want to be a part, of that solution, if you have knowledge, skills, understanding, and you want to give that to Black people or be a part of a movement that's about building power for Black people, this is it. I said that Survival Summit is our leadership giving their perspective on our survival in specific areas, and then they're giving their solutions as to how we can push back against that. We had a meeting this past Sunday. Every Sunday, we have national leadership meetings. This past Sunday, we had our meeting was with the brother who's over our economics and finance department. He was giving us his plan for how we're going to build Black communities and how we're going to make them economically feasible so that our people don't have to pay rent. Our people won't have to have an electric bill. Our people will be protected. And our people will be protected because we will not only own and control the environment, but we have our own institutions. This is a Black man giving a Black solution for Black people, and it's all viable. It's all doable if we simply decide to make it happen. To know that we have that kind of Black person in this movement is phenomenal. To know that we have that kind of Black person in this movement who is connected with another Black person who is going to show us politically how to build Black power and own and control towns and cities in America. Powerful. To have people like that in this movement that can connect with a sister who is over our spiritual healing and well-being department that can put us in a position to reverse the conditioning of our Black minds. Powerful. To have people in this movement that can connect with brothers and sisters in Africa and in the diaspora who are already doing things to everything that we're doing, revolutionary, visionary, and powerful. But none of it is going to happen if we don't have the right Black people involved. And we want you to be one of those Black persons that are involved in this movement. We got the leadership. We have the proven solutions. We have the plan. We have the connectivity. We have the organization. We need more people like you to help us make this happen. Because if we don't have more people like you to make this happen, then we will most certainly become a permanent underclass in this country. And if we Black people become a permanent underclass in America, then the chances of Black people around the world doing something that's going to move us forward is severely weakened, if not absolutely impossible. America has issues. We all know that. But America is an absolutely wonderful country as it relates to what we can do here for ourselves moving forward that other people cannot. If you want more information about the Black Gold Movement, go to our main website, blackgoldnation.com. Click on About, read our mission. If the mission confuses you, click on Why We Must Build and watch some videos. If you like the mission, if it makes sense to you, go to our events website, Black-Gold-Wakanda Rising. Click on presentations and RSVP for an upcoming introductory presentation, A Nation Within a Nation. If you want to be a part of the Survival Summit and know more about it, click on Survival Summit. If you want to be a part of the Leadership Summit tomorrow, click on Leadership Summit. If you want to be a part of the movement and you've already seen the presentation, click on Get Involved and become a Black Gold Ambassador and help us build power for Black people on a level that no one else is even thinking about. So if they're not thinking about it, you know they're not talking about it. If they're not talking about it, you know they're not doing anything about it. If they're not doing anything about it, then we're going to continue to put ourselves on the path to become a permanent underclass in this country. There is nothing we cannot do. All we need to do is decide to do it. If you want to support the Black Gold Nation, we ask two things of our supporters. $4 a month as a membership fee and 5 minutes per week. That is our killer, demanding, slave-like requirements. 5 minutes, 5 minutes. I think it's 5 minutes a week. 5 minutes a day. I'm gonna say 5 minutes a day, $4 a month. If you can give us 5 minutes a day and $4 a month, we can put ourselves in a position to make some things happen. Keep in mind that the movie Black Panther that most of us loved Most of us saw multiple times. That movie made over $1 billion in the first month. It made $1 billion the second month, but I'm not sure about those numbers. But in the first month, conservative estimates are that people of color, melanated people worldwide, gave 75 to 80% of that first $1 billion. That is $750 to $800 million that we gave to a movie in 1 month. Money that we still have because we're still going to the movies. We're still going out to eat. We're still going to the club. We're still smoking cigarettes. We still going to Starbucks. We waste $4 per month every other day. Add to that the amount of money that we give to the black church here in America. We give the black church, conservatively speaking, $250 million a week. That's $1 billion a month that we give to our churches. And I'm not anti-church or religion, but I am saying that if we can afford to give that much money to our churches, then surely we can afford to give a little bit to a movement that's about building black power. We want to work with our churches and black organizations as much as possible. That is why the title of the event is the Black Church and the Black Organization Survival Summit, because our people go to church and our people are members of organizations. And if we can get some of those churches, some of those organizational members to be a part of what we're trying to do to build power, then it puts us in a position to win. And that's what we're about, winning. We made the mistake of assuming that just because America is racist, that it always has to be racist. Well, it will be if we allow racists to continue to own, control, and run it. It doesn't always have to be that way. We have the intellectual, physical, spiritual, and economic power to create change for ourselves in this country. And we have the power to build upon that if we're organized and connected to do it. And I'm telling you that the Black Gold Nation movement is about implementing a 100-year plan to build power for black people. And then we want to give our children that same plan so they can add their 100-year plan onto that. There is nothing that we cannot do once we decide to do it. So with that, I'm not going to go through the questions because I'm at 51 minutes. I said this was going to be a long one. Fundi Kareem, I apologize. That's one of my mentors who's always telling me your damn lives are too long. But I knew this one was going to be long because it's been a minute. So with that, if you haven't already done so, please like the video, share it with 5, 10, 15, 20 black people. If you have not seen our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe there as well. I have to do more to get us on other social media platforms so that we can reach more black people, so that we can do more black good. Again, our goal is to protect the black mind, body, spirit, and psyche, and to put the black mind, body, spirit, and psyche in a position to win, and then to protect it at all costs, and to build upon that winning with multiple wins moving forward. The people that got off the slave ship were not slaves. The people that got off the slave ship were kings and queens and royalty and engineers and scientists and mathematicians and astrologers and world travelers, astronomers, medicine men and women, warriors, politicians, soldiers, or community organizers, community members. That's who got off the slave ship, people that used to run the world. Well, we outnumber the world's population 7-1, which means we could run the world again. We have the numbers. The only thing we lack is connectivity and organization. And we want to connect and be more organized with you as a member of the Black Gold Nation movement. So with that, thank you very much for being part of the live broadcast. I sincerely appreciate it. Share this with the black people. Become a part of the Leadership Summit tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and sign up for the Survival Summits. We will restart those community meeting webinars next week, and become a part of the Alliance, which is us connecting with the 100,000+ barbershops and beauty salons in this country. If you don't know what to do, then we have something for you to do. If you want to be a part of a movement that's about building black power, we don't have time to waste. We don't have time to be talking about pop culture. We don't have time to get caught up in things that don't matter because our lives are being threatened every single day. We absolutely must organize ourselves under the right leadership and put into place a plan that's going to build power. If we don't do that, we're going to lose. So with that, thank you very much. God bless you. Always remember two things. No one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely remember that nothing is more sacred than liberation and salvation of black people. Thank you very much. God bless. Have a wonderful day.